Kamala Harris voters, I'm going to make you feel good and understand what's really going on. So pay attention, my fellow liberals and leftists. It is October 3rd, 2025. I want you to pay attention to everything I'm saying throughout this video so you can grab this. There's a systematic way that both the right and the left are destroying you. And if you don't listen to this entire video, you're going to miss it. You're going to have higher anxiety, be stressed, and you are going to be freaking the fuck out more than you've ever have before. So just keep listening to me. My name's Darren Monroe. I worked on Kamala Harris's campaign. I used to work for Universal DreamWorks MCA, 30 years marketing branding experience. Did the marketing here in Chicago for Jay-Z, Eminem, Limp Bizkit, The Roots, Nelly Furtado, and some of the biggest artists out there as their lifestyle rep. I want you to understand what we're going through right now and understand that, you know, there's a bigger picture to this. But first of all, I want to mention, I'm able to do all this stuff because of my Clarity Group. Get in my Clarity Group. It is on a mega sale right now. You need to get in this bad boy before the price goes up, because the normal price, it's a third of the normal price. Listen, just get in my freaking group. I keep telling people, you'll feel 1,000% better. Everybody in there will tell you. We got hundreds of members. They'll tell you. It is the best thing they've ever done. I want to give you some understanding on the good news that's happening right now. There's 47%, almost half the nation, sees Donald Trump as the problem with this shutdown. And he's trying to double down on the shutdown by shutting more stuff down, which doesn't work anymore. It might have worked 30 months ago, but it doesn't work now. And now the Democrats, yes, even Schumer and Jeffries, who we all don't like, are getting a hint of what's going on, and they're standing tall on it so far in this shutdown. If we don't shut this down, people are going to die. Seriously. Their Affordable Care Act extensions go out the door. Being able to at least get into an argument to get Medicaid off the table for the big, beautiful bill. The idea is they need something. We need something that's going to fight back this situation, which has been absolutely horrific, as we all know. Here's the thing I also want you to understand. Not only what's at stake, but what causes ICE to still be funded in the midst of everything. Think about it like this. ICE was funded because that last shutdown, Schumer caved in and supported it. And if he hadn't caved in, we wouldn't have ICE shut down, and they would have thought twice about doing anything else with the medical care. It is absolutely disastrous. And I want you to understand there is a solution and an outcome to this, because I said Kamala Harris is good news. I started off like that. Standing tall with this shutdown is all about ESGN. All of you have heard me say that. Put that in the comments. ESGN. Epstein, shutdown, gerrymandering, and no kings. We have got to up the marketing. And how do you help with that? I know everybody tells you go to Congress and keep the pressure on Congress and join these nonprofits. I've told you that too, like Indivisible, NAACP, ACLU. They're attacking the Anti-Defamation League as well. They're attacking everybody. Okay? They're going after everybody. And there are hundreds of nonprofits who have been there. You support in Congress. And of course, the lower case court that handles 99% of the court cases have been in our cases working and fighting for us. So we've had a lot of battles over the last 36 weeks, and I guarantee you 1,000%, 1,000,000%, it would have been much worse. But I want to take you somewhere. I want to take you through a transition, and this is something I'm teaching my Clarity members on, and that's why I'm telling you, get in my Clarity group, because there's nothing else like this. It's one thing to talk about politics, but it's another thing to decode this bullshit, tell you what the real data is, and ask you and have you address what's going on with you. What do I mean by you? Here's the good news. The good news is this man is not going to survive. Whether it be him actually physically being gone or him actually getting through this is just unlikely. He's unhinged and people are starting to call for him to be out the door, including my governor here, J.B. Pritzker, here in Illinois. I'm here in Chicago, and I'm trying to tell people it's rough, but at the same time, this had to happen. And the Clarity Group members understand this. As I say this, Clarity Group members get it, is that this had to happen. There were people who did not believe that this damn fool would go out and do this stuff, that he would go out and just absolutely cut everything, that he would absolutely violate every kind of law you can think of, violate people's rights. He would do all this stuff. They wouldn't, he can't do that. It's like, yeah, you can. You know how many times during the campaign I got called a liar and blah, blah, and they tried to shut down my social medias and they tried to shut down my lives, and I got them all back because it wasn't misinformation. The irony was the stuff I said he was doing was the stuff he said on TV he was going to do. I mean, he actually said that. So it's like, you're lying. You're not telling the truth. Really? He just said that. That's not stuff we made up. It's stuff he said. But the good news is this. Here's tyranny on a time clock. He's wasting out. And here's what you got to decide for yourself. First of all, we got 170 weeks, totaling 41 months of this bullshit. And it is an ongoing battle. For the last 36 weeks, the thing I say, decode the fact that every time he's trying to shock and awe and terrorize you, it's failing because it's hurting his own base, his own audience. The other thing you got to understand and decode is his ability to get the narrative out there to try to cover up what? ESGN, Epstein, shutdown, gerrymandering, and no King's Day. We have to stay on point on that. Okay, as Ayan, let's say, stay woke. No, but here's the thing. It's also important to understand. So we understand that he's not doing as well as we think he is. He thinks he is, and some of the Republicans think he is, and other people think he is. And sometimes some of the left think he is. Let's talk about the left for a minute. Let's go there. In fact, I'm going to take my glasses off and just look right at you. Here's the thing. One of our biggest enemies is ourselves. And what I mean by that is we got 3 issues that I combat in the Clarity Group. And that is 1, understanding the history of our government. 2, understanding how our government works. And 3, understanding the laws of our government. That's why he's not able to write stuff in an executive order. He might as well write it on toilet paper and use it. You know, he's full of it. And what I'm saying to you is that what he's doing is he'll write out an executive order like it means something. It doesn't. When he says, I'm going to get rid of mail-in ballots, no, he can't do that. He doesn't decide that. The feds don't decide that. The states do it. Even red states have told him no. Or those of you who get freaked out every time the Supreme Court does something, and I'm telling you, like 99% of the cases, only 1% of Supreme Court, 99%, are the lower courts. So a lot of the lower courts, here's where I get to talk about identifying the data. We got Republican, both Bush and Trump-appointed judges who have been staving off saying that's illegal. You can't do that. Boom, no. He can't take it up to the Supreme Court every time. Like I said, 1%. They're filled up. He cannot push that narrative. He's playing that same playbook over and over, and it's kicking his ass. How do we know? Because out of the 800, almost 900 cases that are out there, there's still 700. Here we go decoding. Here we go identifying the data. Out of that, there's 180 cases out there that had either temporary injunctions, permanent injunctions, state injunctions, or national injunctions, and actual cases ruled on. And out of that, he's lost 140 of them. You can look it up. Look up Case Tracker. You will see for yourself. He's not winning. He's not bout it. What I want you to understand is, okay, so we know his bullshit ploy is to terrorize us psychologically to make him think he's in control and fuck up people's minds, especially on the left, and do that. And the decoded data of that comes down to what is actually happening. What are the real numbers? And then here's the thing I want you to understand between these two, because I'm going to get to the third D in a minute, which is the most important. I want you to understand that in this process, if you don't realize this, it will raise up your anxiety, your stress, everything. But you need to hear this every day. And there are things you need to hear that are uncoded, that I have to talk between the lines on YouTube on, but I don't on my own group that's away from social media. That's what I'm telling you, get your ass into that clarity group. Here's the thing I want you to understand. These two things are stressing out so many leftists because they are freaked out, not knowing the history of the government, the formation of the government, or the laws of their government. A great example of that is people who are freaked out over the Supreme Court, but not knowing that 99% of the cases go to the lower courts. So yeah, they're going to win something. I'm not saying that he's not winning some things. He is. He's won 40 plus situations. But I want you to understand, he ain't winning everything, and he certainly ain't winning the majority of it. The other thing you got to understand is that they're the ACDs. Who are the ACDs? Well, I keep pointing them out. I'm the only one on the left pointing them out. So have I earned your subscription as I say this? Well, keep listening. Here's the thing. ACDs are the alarmists, conspiracists, and doomsday people. The alarmists are the ones who are saying, breaking news, everything's bad, everything deep, bad. And I'm like, okay, you're telling us how horrible shit is, but you're not giving us the solution. Listen, right now I'm on a developmental journey to lose weight. And one of the things I hate is that our medical system always wanted you to manage your health because there's more money in managing it than actually helping solve it. Think about what I just said. I tell people in the online world, because I basically have trained hundreds of thousands of people over the last 20 years how to make money online, how to brand themselves, just based on my experience. Because I haven't had a job in 20 years. I've been working for me. And what I told, I had this conversation. I said, listen, there are people out there who sell you the dream because there's more money selling you the dream than actually helping you achieve it. Think about what I just said. What Trump sold was the dream. Okay? What Kamala was coming was the details, the real, the dream. And ironically, there were people so racist and lost. They said, well, no, she's not giving more facts and details. You mean the guy who had concepts of facts giving you stuff and then lied? See, the problem is that the alarmist, conspiracists, doom people are telling you all of the problems, but they're giving you none of the solutions. I'm going to give you some in a moment. Just hang in there with me. Two of which I've already given you, which is decode this bullshit, here's the real data, and get the real data. But here's the other thing I want you to understand before I go on to that third thing, is that with the alarmists, they're there to alert you and point out a problem without no context or a solution. That's why you're freaked out. You're like, oh my God, this is a problem. But they don't give you anything. It's like sick people. They'll diagnose you, but they don't really prescribe solutions other than getting their medicine. And it's not helping you get healthier long term. What I'm trying to break down to you is going into that second part, the conspiracy theorists, has you paranoid. Oh, everything is no, calm it down. It'll be all right. Calm it down. It'll be all right. Why is it that the conspiracy people never point out in detail solutions because they don't really understand the history of our government, how our government works, and the laws of our government. So they go into mystery land. Then it's the doomsday people. It's the end of the world as we know it. Those are the ones who are going out there saying, oh, our democracy is dead. Fascism is here. Really, is it here? Because here's the thing. Everybody who's speaking out against fascism, who's speaking out against autocracy and dictatorship, would be in jail or dead or both. Do that in Putin land. Russia. Do that over in Kim Jong, North Korea land. See how that shit ends up for you. We're not a democracy. We're not a dictatorship, autocracy, fascism. Not yet. But here's the thing, we're not there. But you stop giving words that lead to that we're already there, because there's nothing but shocking all people who don't understand the history of our government, the structure of our government, and how it works, and the laws of our government. And that's the left. That's not the right. And Trump is getting inside many of your heads thinking that. Here's the thing. You need to deprogram and unwind. And the only way you're going to do that, not only just, subscribing to my channel if I've earned it, but also getting with a set, tight crew and go all out, to quote Wu-Tang. Get with a crew of people who are being trained to know how to decode drama, being trained to know how to identify data. And then we get to that third D, and that is, how do you develop a better you? In 170 weeks, we got this. Can you come out of this smarter, healthier, stronger? I've talked to you about me working on my weight and getting healthier. Can you come out and become a stronger person? Is that possible? And the answer is yes. It's very possible. It's very possible. You got to put the work in, but it's very possible. The first thing you got to do to get there is step one, start identifying what you're taking in. And I'm not talking, physical eating. I definitely had to identify that because them cookies was calling me, y'all. But no, for real, identify what you're taking in on politics. People tell me, Trump makes me mad. Well, why are you listening to Trump? Again, I keep saying it's like that old joke. My hand hurts when it does like this. Well, don't do it like that. Well, how do I know about this? Have you subscribed here? Are you looking at this with filtered glasses? Because filtered glasses will help you read through the bullshit, decode the drama, identify the data, so you develop a better you. You feel 1,000% better. That's the number one thing I hear in the Clarity Group. They say, you feel 1,000% better. And again, click the link in my description of this video, or go to the homepage and click there and go over and join the Clarity Group. Understand the idea of this is your ability to be a better person mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally, all of that, regardless of who's president. Because here's the thing, and this is what nobody on the left is telling you. Let me just walk all the way into this. I've talked about the problem, and a lot of it is on the left we're dealing with. I've talked about decoding drama. I've talked about identifying the data that's real. I've started talking about developing yourself, and I've talked about the alarmists, the conspiracists, and the doomsday people, right? The ACDs. Put in ACDs suck in the comment area if you hear me. ACDs suck. And I've talked about how we need to focus on ESGN, Epstein, shutdown, gerrymandering, and no king stays. But understand the bigger thing here that's happening as I move in, shift into this. I want you to understand that there's a bigger thing going on. And that is that if we don't begin to identify the truth of our situation, we're doomed. And here's what that means. We got 170 weeks of this guy. Even if he's gone and J.D. Vance comes in, another 170 weeks. You cannot be waiting for them to make a better you. Woo! Did you hear what I just said? There's this thing I talk about in the Clarity Group. And no, it's not Stations of the Cross. It is quadrants. The lower quadrant is what you don't control and what your lowest priority is. The top one is what you do control and what your highest priority is. But they're doing this with ICE. Yes, it's horrible. It is. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not saying, I'm not devaluing that information, but you don't control it. The best thing you can do outside this door, outside your door, is keep in contact with Congress, let them know your thoughts, whether you're in red or blue state. Join nonprofits like Indivisible, ADL, Anti-Defamation League, ACLU, NAACP, for sure. They've been fighting. You know, indivisible.org. I want you to understand, ACLU, they've been fighting. But I want you to understand something else. There's only so much you can do with that. What else can you do? You giving to that is important, indeed. But there's a third thing you can do, which is spread videos like this from me. Share with everybody. Share it. No matter what social media you're on, whatever. Because people need to understand this stuff. Whether they get it or not, God bless them. But share it. We need to share more real information talking in clarity. The other thing you need to do, and that goes back to you, is take care of you. Where are you at mentally, spiritually? Thoughts become things. In fact, thoughts become words, words become actions, actions become habits, habits become character, and your character becomes your destiny. What are you putting into you today? Have you been thinking about what you're thinking about? Because if you're doom scrolling, that's going to make you feel like shit. I had a friend. I still have a friend. He's a good guy, Teddy. And Teddy came to me years ago and said, man, I hate my social media. So negative. I said, yeah, but you know, social media and algorithm is based upon what you're tuning into. Here's what you do. Get into motivational, spiritual, personal development, get into those things. And in a matter of days and weeks, his whole mentality changed completely. I want you to understand that the biggest thing you control is you, and that if you focus on developing you on a daily basis, that's the biggest thing. Seriously. Motivation does not make you where you are. Habits do. And getting in the habit with some people who know what they're doing, been doing this, have been, again, I've been an entrepreneur for 20 years. And that's why I also have a link to something called my Moneymaker group, which is on sale too. The idea is that you getting in both of these things and connecting and finding out, decoding this bullshit and this drama and being able to train your brain differently. Your thinking must change. This ain't about Trump. This is about you. Remember, Trump did not bring racism, misogyny, prejudice, homophobia, xenophobia. He revealed it. And these people on the right don't have insight. That's why they're this way. That's why they suck. But guess what? We got problems on the left. Because if you think, well, yeah, they stole the you know what. But let's get beyond that. Let's talk about all the people who voted against Kamala Harris, who didn't want to say it, or the people who sat on the couch on the left who didn't want to do it. If you don't believe for 1 second that this wasn't about xenophobia, homophobia, misogyny, it wasn't about racism, then you're out of your mind. There is a problem on the left that exists just as much on the right. And we know there's a problem because I worked on that freaking campaign and nobody after the campaign wanted to say it openly. Nobody in the Democrats wanted to admit. They just said, well, maybe it was the economy. Bitch, please, they didn't want to marry that. They didn't want to vote for the black Indian woman married to the Jew. Now, was that Kamala's mistake? She had 107 days. She couldn't go there like that. She had to keep focused. But the flip side could be, and maybe it was a mistake, but she should have done what Obama did. Obama opened up, but Obama had 22 months of campaigning. She did not. She had to grasp them on this, at least hope that she could grasp them on this. Now, the interesting part about that is that we now know that she should have went raw with it. We had a book club discussion. We do a book club in the Clarity group every Thursday for 107 days. Her book, I call it 107 days in between the lines. And everybody in the group particularly the women, was very, very boisterous about one core thing. And they said she needs to go more left than she's ever been before this time around. You say this time around. Well, Darren, what do you mean? I honestly believe that Kamala Harris is going to be running for president, and she's going to be the next president of the United States. But I want you to understand, all of this waiting for things to happen, you could be developing yourself over the next 170 weeks. You could be helping you. What are you doing for you? What are you encouraging yourself with? In the Clarity Group, we're always talking about funny things, to laugh, to connect, motivational, spiritual type things. How do you keep focused? How do you keep in manifest destiny? And at the same time, how do you decode the drama that he's doing? This is not about a political conversation. You got enough of that on social media. It's about you understanding what's really happening and what you can do about it, both in activism out there and what you can do in activism with you. See, because here's the thing. After Trump is there, let's say Kamala's president, let's say Newsom, whoever, you still are going to have some of the same problems. It's going to take them years to reverse this bullshit. And at the same time, it's going to be a hardened fight. We're up in the middle of a battle that we're actually winning, but it feels like a Rocky movie. But what I'm trying to give everybody a perspective on is to understand you got some decisions you got to make within you that have nothing to do with him or that administration. Because after he's gone and after that administration's gone, what you going to do now? Because no matter who it is, you're not going to put the arms together like I Dream a Genie, blink, and it be solved. It's not. It's not. It's wake-up call. It's grown people time. Hello, wake-up call. What can you do for you? Like the old Outkast song, You and I Got to Do for You and I. This is your chance to become a better person, mentally, spiritually, physically. Again, I know I'm working on my weight. I am seriously. I'm not sitting there trying to tell you get physical when I'm not getting physical. I had a client yesterday I talked to, and I was saying to him, yeah, man, this is what I'm doing. By the way, I'm turning this back. What are you doing? The idea is, what are you doing to make a better you? What are you investing into your smiles? I don't say this enough, but we got a laughter group too. The laughter group's only $5 a month, but you can laugh and have some liberal laughter and click the link in the description and in the in my homepage. But I want you to understand, what are you investing into your mind? Think about that. That's the most important thing you can have, is your mind, your focus, your spiritual, your emotional well-being. What are you investing into that? Because if you're not investing into it, this is why you stressed out. This is why you have anxiety. This is why you're dealing with this. You need to be around a crew of people who realize and feel the same way you feel, but understand the bigger picture, which is, hey, we're going to ride this fool out. And in the meanwhile, we're going to build a better us while decoding the drama and identifying the data. How many of you are doing that? How many of you are investing in your best you? Because at the end of the day, this guy, and what they're doing, and when I say they, I'm talking about the left, is they're psychologically feeding off of that. The ACDs are, not everybody. So you got these alarmist conspiracy people and the doomsday people who are, all this hope is lost. Everything's gone. And somehow, with a tinfoil hat on, and somehow, magically, the coconut of Kamala will come back and come and get her. No, it won't. Or, hey, this is going to somehow be okay because we've researched this, that. Yeah, research my ass. Who you going to bring it to? I talk about 8 different types of investigations in the Clarity Group, under Classroom when you get in, and under Clarity Reports. I talk about the real secret stuff going on with the Epstein list and how they're protecting a society. I talk about the real shit. You need somebody talking about the real shit. Because if you don't have it, what do you end up having? A group of people who are stressing and dramatizing you out. You're dealing with negativity, but the negativity isn't something that you have to adopt and take into. Our thoughts really do become things. Again, thoughts to words, words to actions, actions to habits, habits to character, and character to destiny. Your ability to think yourself and talk yourself into a better life is an opportunity, if you wish. Some people feed off that drama. They're called energy vampires. The needy people. We don't need those. Or the indifferent people who like to complain all the time and don't do a motherfucking thing. Come on now. We don't need those neither. What you need is to pour into you. And that's why I said getting into this Clay group is an investment in you, not me. I mean, listen, at the regular price, ain't nothing but $60 a month or $297, but right now it's on sale, a fraction of that. You should be moving your ass left and right to do this, because you'll feel 1,000% better around people who don't stress out anymore over this shit, who understand how to decode the drama, how to identify the data, and how to, on a regular daily basis, develop themselves. You feel 1,000% better. The idea is that you are more into you. Understand this. You can look at the drama. You can pick up whatever kind of data out there, data sources. But if you're not developing yourself, this is your greatest opportunity. Not to be in the group, but your greatest opportunity to develop and become a better you. What are you worth? Ask yourself that. You're more valuable than you think. And it's great that you listen to the free YouTube. But it's time for grown-up people time, if you can. I know some people can't do it. I get it. I do. My heart goes out to you. This week marks 23 years ago, I was sleeping in my car. Right here in downtown Chicago. Right here in Chicago on the northwest side. Look at where I'm at now. Hey, I'm not here to preach to you, but there is a God. There is a universe. And what you put out there and invest in yourself brings back to yourself. What are you doing to do that on a daily basis? Ask yourself this. We know this guy can't last forever. What happens after that? Well, let me point out some things. Because I've given you the whole background, everything, the build up to this. Understand, even with Kamala, even with Newsom or somebody in there, it's going to take them years to reverse things, and there's not going to be an immediate relief. The other thing you got to understand is that the fight does not stop. It continues, even with a Democrat in office, even with a Democratic majority. Because now we got to look at our Democratic leadership and say, do you have the balls now to do what the fuck they just did? Let's go more left. Let's go more left. Fuck this shit. How can we invest more into being a better nation instead of doing this stupid shit? Because the one thing I do like about the right, I have utmost respect for, is their confidence. And you should too. They got the confidence. What they lack is consciousness. So they lack the consciousness, but on the left, we lack the courage. Seriously. It's like we need to go to the Wizard of Oz and get our fucking bravery on, because out of Congress, let me tell you, the states are kicking ass. In the last 36 weeks, here's where I go identifying the data. Last 36 weeks, we've had one Democratic group that's been the absolute bomb-ass wonderful leadership, and that is the 23 governors and attorney generals. Why do you think he's trying to go over himself, trying to go after Letitia James? Why do you think he's going after attorney generals left and right? Why do you think that during the shutdown, here he is trying to shut down who? The states. Because he knows that is his biggest group. And they going to get him. They going to get him. The lower courts are going to get him. And the nonprofits are going to get him. And they've been getting them. They've been kicking butt. Even the American Bar Association has sued twice and won. Facts. People under the Trump administration, there's going to be a whole bunch of people going to jail. But in the meanwhile, what's going on with you? I'll get back to you in a minute. Let's talk about that. Who's going to jail? Steve Miller's going to jail. Pam Bondi's going to jail. Elon Musk is going to jail. Voight is the only one who might be away from jail, but if he gets any closer to it. And I'm going to tell you how. I talk about this in the Clarity Group. I'm going to break it down to you. In addition to everybody I just said, Tom Homan, think about it. Tom Homan's going to jail just for what he's done in deportations, let alone the $50,000 he accepted in money from undercover Fed officers. Oh, he's going to jail. Kristi Noem going to jail. Tulsi Gabbard's going to jail. Hegseth, jail. Yes. And some of those U.S. attorneys going to jail. How do we know? Because we had 10 plus prosecutors that walked out of the Southern District of New York. First time ever. Said, we're going to lose our license and go to jail. They fired a prosecutor for the U.S. Attorney's Office in San Diego because she said to ICE, you got to follow these rules, the laws with the judge. That was probably the best thing that ever happened to her. We had the U.S. Attorney for Virginia, an actual state, say, I'm walking, gotta go, resign. Because he couldn't find nothing on Letitia James because it was against the law, and he knew damn well pursuing that was bullshit, going to jail. And the new person that replaced him, she going to jail too. There are U.S. attorneys going to jail. At the very least, losing their license. Again, American Bar Association was one of those 140 losses that happened to them in the last 36 weeks. Decoding the drama and identifying the data on a daily basis. Do you know I do a daily assessment every day talking about here's what's going on. Here's the assessment of everything that happened. I do it in the evening saying, hey, this is bullshit. This is what's really happening in the Clarity Group. And I also talk about what in the world can you do to be a better you in the midst of this. The first thing I'm checking when people are stressed out is, what are you listening to? What should you be listening to? Who should you be listening to? Of course, me, but others. And what is the core data of who you are? In other words, joining the Clarity Group makes you a 1,000% better thinker, critical thinker, makes you 1,000% better on focus, 1,000% better with filtering out bullshit, and makes you look at your life differently. How many of you are looking at your life differently? How many of you are going down that road and asking yourself, okay, Trump is in here, this stuff is hidden bad. What can I do to be a better person? Woo, think about that. Because you can talk all day long about, oh, but Trump's doing this. Yeah, but what are you doing? What are you doing to better you? That's the real question. What are some of the things you can do? First of all, understand this. Your ability to smile ain't nothing but a laugh away. That's why I have a laughter group. It's only $5 a month. Even if you don't join the Clarity Group, you can at least laugh. Click the link in there. Have some laughs. We're all laughing in there. I'm even telling funny stories about things that happened with Beyonce, Eminem. I got some more stuff coming up. Ozzy Osbourne, I got some more stuff coming up. It's going to be cracking you up. Here's the other thing I want you to understand, and this is the bigger thing to this. Your ability to smile is an endorphin to make you feel better and pull you out of that. Understand that the mind can't take negative and positive at the same time. And so the goal is fill it up with positive. Think great things. I am blessed and highly favored. These are great things happen to me. You put yourself in that mental spirit, things will happen in your favor. The world conspires to help you based on what you believe and what you think and what you say about yourself. And the real question is, are you full of shit and just sitting here listening to me and ain't gonna do nothing about it and just sit here, oh, Darren, yeah, that's great. And give me a nice comment. Yeah, Darren, good comment. I feel so much better even though I ain't doing a fucking thing to help myself. Or are you one of them people who really like, you know what? I need a breakthrough. Let me go ahead and click the link on to see Darren. Did I earn you a subscription yet? Maybe. I want you to understand, too, that as we decode the drama, the bullshit, there's going to be more. His game plan, and this is the good news, his game plan is so known, y'all. It's not new. This motherfucker, he keeps doing the same playbook. I've been calling it out for 10 months. People are like, damn, you really did decode. That really did happen. Ask people in those of you who've been following me on YouTube, have I been calling it out? Those who subscribed for months, have I been calling this out or what? I made a breakthrough in the last year working on Kamala Harris's campaign. I realized, one, that our government doesn't work the way I thought it did. So I didn't understand as much as I needed to know as I know now the history of our government, how our government works, and our governmental laws. I also began to look differently at the left with a sad face. We got problems. And there's too many people not talking about the truth in the room. Let's talk about the fact that this black woman, and we were talking about that in the book club. The book club is every Thursday. When you get in, go over the calendar and book. I do 3 sessions at least a week. Sometimes I do pop-ups. And those 3 sessions pretty much run like this. How to empower your peace in the midst of Trumpism on Saturdays, tomorrow. How to deal with the psychological attacks of Trump, which we call narrative warfare. That's on Tuesdays. And on Thursdays, we now have a book club discussion of Kamala. And one of the things I discussed about Kamala yesterday, we're up to 106 days. Next week, we're going to talk about all the way through 102nd day. But the 106th day, then if you don't know what I'm talking about, in the book, instead of chapters, she goes by days. And what we talked about yesterday was the fact that Kamala was not getting the support she should have. There's no way in the world you go to primary in July, and Nancy Pelosi said that. Obama said he didn't want to tip the scale. Tip the scale for what? She's the vice president and the most qualified. That's hands down. You know? And why would you care about it? You're retired. Fuck them. Support the vice president. And he eventually did, but it's like, really? Why did she have to garner this much support as the vice president? And she hadn't done anything wrong or out of step or whatever. If that had been a white man, Now, women, if you really listen to me, especially women of color, y'all know y'all need to get in a clarity group, for real. Understand. I understand. I grew up under a single mom. My dad lived in New York. My mother lived here. I know being black is hard, and being black and a woman is a hard times too. I overstand. As much as I can as a man, but I overstand. And that was some bullshit. She's dealing with every kind of thing that hit her. And one of the things I said yesterday was, we got a problem on the left that they did not support her. Like that is from go. and they should have been on top of it. With July going on, got a little more than 3 months, and y'all talking about primary. I could see if it was earlier than June, but right now it's like, what the fuck? I'm also concerned about the left in the way in which they didn't support her, and I gotta say this carefully because we're on YouTube, and I don't want to get a misinformation strike or anything. And in my clarity group, I talk about how the left, when I worked on that campaign, I'll say it like this: somebody wanted a recount, but somebody's party gave her a hard time about that. And the reason that's not in the book and the things aren't said gives me more reason to understand that she's coming back. Just the look in her eyes says she's coming back. But the reason the more I read this book, the more I go through her book, the more I begin to see this was set as a record. Let the record be said, straighten the record before she goes in on their asses. Oh, it's going to be a day of reckoning. She gets in. And she's the number one person to get in. Sure, Newsom is nice, but Newsom, he's got good polling, great. And I love what he's doing to fight back on Trump. Hey, I support that. Hell, Kamala supports that. But Kamala Harris is going to announce in 2027 she's going to be president. She's running for president. And she's going to be president. But even with her as president, understand, party ain't over. That's what I'm trying to get all of you to understand your own development. By the time she's making that announcement, think about how many things in 2 years could be better for you. Your mindset, your spirit, your emotional, maybe your physical. Like I said, I'm working on my physical. I'm not sitting there judging nobody. I'm not a hypocrite. I'm trying to tell you right now that you could be focusing on a better you in the midst of all this chaos. You can be focusing on your money. That's why I have, again, Money Makers Group in the midst of all this chaos. And the Money Makers Group is in the link too in my video and in my homepage. You could be focusing on getting your bag. You could be focused on getting your mind, building you. I'm not an alarmist. I'm not here to break you down. I'm here to build you up. Not here to blame. I'm here to build. I'm not a hater. I'm an evaluator and elevator. Let's go. With an endless floor and an infinite number. I want you to understand that looking at YouTube videos are very nice. Thank you for looking this far. If you look this far, you've been listening to me. Now, what you really need to listen to is what the hell I'm telling you. I'm laying down to you. It's time for a wake-up call and a setup and your ability to get into the game of you. Fuck all this. What are you doing for you? What are you showing up for you on a daily basis? What are you thinking? What are your words? What are you saying to yourself? How are you building a better you? Because if you ain't focused on that, because when Democrats get back in office, you think all will be well? Nope. First of all, we got to make sure the right Democrats get in because, shoot, these traditionalists are a pain in the ass. They're trying to ride the wave while we sitting there. Understand, my biggest wake-up call the last year has been that we got problems on the left that need to be addressed, and at the same time, there's only so much we can do. We have to invest more into us because we control us, and that's our priority, and the ability to look at the data and identify and understand what's going on. And even in the midst of Trumpism, that there are leftists out there who are trying to alarm and throw conspiracies at you, and at the same time, throw doomsday at you. All is lost because they're doing it for hits and attention. Now, keep in mind, I know I'm selling a clarity group. I'm selling the Moneymaker group, the laughter for liberals. I am. I know. I'm not sitting there saying, oh, they're trying to make money, but I ain't making money. No. I'm being very clear about this. The problem is I'm not alarming you and scaring you into making decisions. The problem is I'm not throwing conspiracies out to give you decision making and make you, attract you with that. I could and I would be excellent. I'd make a hell of a lot more money. But I don't want to do that. Then I could also do the whole doomsday. If you don't get in my clarity group, all is lost and all is doomed. No. You don't do it, you'll be at a great disadvantage, but I ain't going to doom and gloom you. There are people out there, though, who are making that back and that attention by pulling in attention to you. Is that the way you want to live the rest of your life? Worrying about what other people think and do in government that controls you? Or do you really want your real freedom to understand, to be able to decode the drama forever and be able to identify the data forever and be able to deliver a better developed you at the end of Trumpism? Because that's what it really comes down to. If you're investing into yourself, you can never go wrong. That's the best. That's what my mentor Bob Proctor from The Secret said. He said to me 15 years ago, he's like, man, invest in you. That's the biggest thing. How do you invest in you? How do you invest in what your thoughts are, what your words are, what your actions, habits? How do you invest in developing a better character so you can live a better lifestyle? How do you invest in your home, your money? Like I said, the money makers, your ability to build an online presence. It doesn't have to be in politics. It could be in anything. It could be basket weaving, whatever. Somebody right now, there's a guy making tens of thousands of dollars a month teaching people pickleball. Facts. There are people who are making thousands of dollars per month teaching calligraphy. Facts. There are people out there teaching how to become better dads, making thousands of dollars. Facts. But you got to believe. Not just believe in me, but believe in you. The idea that we lose in this whole political mess is the fact that we are our greatest asset and investments. The idea that gets lost in all of this is that if we live in fear, somehow ignoring fear is a major mistake, and I'm wrong. Fear is false evidence appearing real. Or face everything and rise. That's real fear. And you can be in fear. It's okay not to be okay, but it's not okay to stay that way. Ask yourself, what is the biggest investment you could put into you? Ask yourself this question too. If he keeps repeating this bullshit over and over, why am I listening to him? Some of you have been through abusive relationships before, of every kind. And that abuser is always pushing the narrative to push around, to manipulate, to get their way, just like the devil. How close can you be to a better you? You're more valuable than you think. Facts. And your ability to share and monetize your opinion like I do in my Moneymakers group. How do you share and monetize your opinion and turn that into money? Now, more than ever, there's a time to get fuck you money, liberals. And it's not about hating on capitalism. It's about hating on character. The problem we have right now is not with millionaires and billionaires. It's the character of some of those people. It's not all of those people, by the way, too. In the Clarity Group, I point out something very interesting. I have a report under Classroom when you join. It's under 8 different types of investigations under Trump. And one of the main things I'm talking to people about is saying, yo, do you realize that there are 900 billionaires and 22 million millionaires? And no, they ain't all loving Trump. They're not loving this guy. I'm trying to get you to understand that they're not all loving this guy. They don't all appreciate this guy. And some of which are secretly financing an ability to get this guy investigated. Do you know there are thousands of investigators out there right now? Thousands. Who don't have jobs because of Trump. Former FBI, CIA, NSA, some really interesting departments. And some of these wealthy people have put them on as consultants. There's going to be a lot of breaking news when he's gone because their investigation's going on. Pam Bondi's in trouble. She can go to jail. I said that earlier. I'm trying to tell all of you that, yeah, these people going to get theirs. They're going to get their justice. But in the meanwhile, what about you? What are you going to do for you? Because, yeah, they fucked up. They going to get theirs. But you, what about you? You so busy pointing at them, but they doing them. Are you going to live the rest of your life like that? Because it ain't them. What are you doing for you? Oh, they going to get theirs. What you doing for you? How are you showing up in your life? You're more valuable than you think. I keep saying that. And the reality is what are you saying repeatedly that either is without thought, without words, or without action benefiting you? Because if you have a habit of doom scrolling, listening to the latest breaking news, Trump did this was horrible. I saw people doing that in the Clarity group, and I stopped them and said, listen, don't tell me the latest breaking news. I'm a grown-ass man. I already know what's going on. But I'm not freaking out. Why are you freaking out? I'm focused. Why aren't you focused? I challenge you because I want you to become better than that. Not only just see the drama, but decode it. Not only just know the data, but identify it. And not only just think of development, but be in development of yourself. Think about the pandemic. All those people went through all this stuff. People got new relationships, newer jobs, a happier life, because they were at home thinking to themselves, this ain't good. I'm not happy. And they started building better lives. This is your greatest opportunity to build a better life because you're more valuable than you think. If you do it, if you wish, you can take this as a positive encouragement to move forward and do better for you. While, yes, doing some things in activism to help our government and help our democracy. But you can't invest all of this into your democracy. You know where I learned this from? 20 years of being an entrepreneur. I realized very clearly that no matter what politicians, they can't propel you to wealth or keep you from poverty. That's our jobs. Hopefully they can have policies that help. But if you're depending all your stuff is riding on what these people on either side will do, that's a problem. If you can connect with them, and it seems, of course, the left is more interested in that, but they're not confident enough to exert that interest and talk about it. What you have to begin to do, beyond decoding the drama, identifying the data, and developing a better you, is understanding that it's possible the moment you decide in your mind that I'm not going to deal with this anymore. When you make a decision, the world starts opening up for you. When you make a decision, the world starts changing and making a metamorphosis for you. I'm 55 this year in December, and this very week marks two interesting things. 20 years ago, I was in a FEMA paid-for hotel running away from Hurricane Katrina. This Chicago guy knew nothing about hurricanes, okay? And then in 2002, this very week, I was sleeping in my car, y'all. I just lost my job at Universal, and I was on hard times. I was reading Chicken Soup for the Soul as the sun came up, just like it came up today. I was greatly humbled by what happened. And I began to understand the real reason behind developing myself, thinking different than everyone else. When you, and hopefully I've earned your subscription, but when you begin to understand what you've been through, and I'm sure all of you have been through a lot, maybe even more than what I've been through, understand where you want to, how you want to exit out in life. Do you want to exit out fighting on top? Do you want to exit out doing what you love to do, passionate about? Do you want to exit out not stressing about stuff you don't control? Do you want to exit out knowing that your life was better, whether it was a Democratic or Republican decision? You don't control anything, but you control you. Your attitude, what you think is the number one thing you control. And the whole idea is that the great news of this whole thing is that, yeah, we're winning the fight. We're winning the democracy. But I encourage you to win the democracy of you. Come into my group. Hopefully I've earned your subscription. But stay focused. I love you all either way. Take care. God bless.